and give you answers to those questions. I hope you stay tuned throughout all the sessions. Now let's get to the business. So let's get to the business of today. Uluwamuyiwa is here live and is ready to I'm going to give a quick introduction before I hand over the section to him. Olumolade Uluwamuyiwa Alexander is marketing and communication coordinator of Microsoft in the Middle East Africa, and government at philanthropy in Kenya and Kenya. He's responsible for Microsoft goods campaigns, marketing, communications and communications of and government affairs, internal audiences in the region. And manage his philanthropy in Nigeria and Kenya. Joining the philanthropist is the Microsoft Nigerian Communication during 5 years. Serious responsibilities included the operational, administrational, and implementation of the planning, designing communication, managing corporate branding, concept brand, and reputation. His expertise in relations fundamental has exposed him to key stakeholders, communication, media relations, social media development, media buying, issues and crisis management. He has been with Microsoft for 7 years and has volunteered and executed several projects within the organization. Prior to joining Microsoft, he has held various roles in research as well as communicating in industries, market analyst role at Toyota Nigeria, Subaru Motors Nigeria, Freight Hilton. He also was one-time public media manager at Samsung Electronics, where he successfully managed several and one worth mentioning responsive agreement of your Samsung Electronics company Nigerian football team, national football team with Nigerian Football Federation. He holds an MBA in marketing. Arsenal soccer pro, Nigerian music lover, domestic chess playing, and is married with kids. Join me as we welcome Yemi. Hello Yemi. Hello Yemi.
Hi.
Yeah, nice to have you here.
Same here. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
It's nice to have you. It's nice to have you. So I'm going to hand over to you now. We can't wait to hear from you.
All right. Thank you so much. Just let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. I hear that there's a whole lot of echoing and feedback. If you can hear me loud and clear, just signify. You can hear me, but I can't hear you, interestingly.
Okay, we can hear you.
Okay, that's fine. I know that I had shared my slides earlier. I don't know if anyone would help me load it up, or I can just share my screen. Just tell me what to do and I'll just get it done. I had shared my slide earlier. I just want to know if you'll be helping me out with the slide, or I can just upload it from the side and just give me sharing rights. I'll do that immediately. Okay, that's it. Fine. Thank you so much. So thank you so much, guys, for having me here today. I don't know if you can see my face. The reason why I normally show my face is to let people know that I'm not a robot. I'm a human being. In the days of artificial intelligence, anybody can be anything at every given point in time. So I'm not a robot. I'm a human being. I am live. And also want to thank the organizers of the Drive conference for this opportunity given me to speak on, the subject, the future of work and leveraging on the disruption. So without taking much of your time, I think I have 40 minutes to do this. and I'll see if I can quickly do that within 30 minutes or 35 minutes. So if there are questions that needs to be, asked, I would be very open to receiving those questions. So you can move to the next slide. Thank you. My name is Yemi Urimolade. I currently work with Microsoft as the moderator had earlier said. So let me just go into this. And I always start with something to just share with us to start thinking as we begin to build the conversation for today. So there was a report in 2008, I think during the November-December timeframe by the World Economic Forum, right? And the report estimated that by 2022, um, 133 million new jobs, will be added to the current job landscape. It sounds very interesting that, okay, because of emerging technologies, because of disruptive technologies, by the year 2022, 133 million jobs will be created. Okay. What this doesn't say is the number of jobs that would be lost. And what this doesn't say is that the number of net new jobs that will be created. So that year, when I looked at the report, I personally did a deep dive, into that report, and especially what the World Economic Forum was basically saying that there'll be some jobs that would be lost, right? However, irrespective of the new technologies that are being emerging or the new technologies that are emerging, there will be more jobs that will be created than jobs lost. Hence why they said 133 million jobs will be created. So when you take 133 million jobs out of 75 million jobs, you still see that there are 58 million net new jobs that will be created essentially. Why do I have to say this, or why do I just, want to keep this in our minds? What this means is that when the opportunities of jobs or new opportunities around new industries leveraging technology, you can only be relevant when you have the right skill set to be part of that opportunity that is going to happen. We keep saying 2022 is far, it is not far anymore. We are already there. The interesting thing is that COVID had helped leapfrog this, okay, which would take me to the next slide. In April this year, um, the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, actually came out with this profound insights for people around the world to know. And he mentioned that as COVID-19 impacts every aspect of our work of life globally, Microsoft had seen 2 years worth of digital transformation just in 2 months. Now, what does that mean? That tells us essentially that COVID-19 is a catalyst of technological innovation. It's a catalyst for digital transformation. I also know that within the last 6, 7 months of this whole COVID thing, a whole lot of us have become gurus and masters in using the Zoom technology that has been existing way back. But I don't think people had the opportunity to, leverage the technology as we would have wanted to, or leveraging the technology as we currently have as at now. So what this means is that there is a whole lot of digital transformation happening right now. COVID-19 has also helped leapfrog you know how people would start working. Okay, there is this new conversation around remote work. There's this new conversation around how do you balance, work from home. I also know of some organizations in Nigeria who are already having new contracts with their staff that want to permanently have their employees work full time from home. So this is the new reality, or what people have termed the new normal, right? And this is where we are. So the usual thing has been disrupted. And so when we start talking about disruption, it is basically saying a disturbance, something different from the usual. Okay. When you look at it from the word disruption, it might look negative. But when you look at it from a positive standpoint, it means that people are looking for opportunities to do things in the non-traditional way. And interestingly, COVID has made that happen, and this has leveraged a whole lot of technology to make it come to pass. So the next slide essentially, I don't know if you could help me change this quickly to the next slide, which talks about the problems we need to solve now. So there are three major problems that we need to solve now. So putting into consideration the fact that, um, there's going to be a whole lot of jobs created and lost, despite the fact that we know that there's a whole lot of digital transformation happening at the speed of light that we ourselves never expected it to happen. One thing that is very key at this point in time is the fact that there are big problems we need to solve now. One is the fact that we are in a global economic crisis. Okay. Whatever COVID had done, even locally, we had our own share of it. We had NSAS. The country was borrowing a lot. Now we know what the dollar to the naira is, So it's not just in Nigeria, it's across the globe, it's across countries. Okay. People would say, um, you only know where the shoe pinches if you're wearing it, right? It's because we think we're in Nigeria and we think, oh, it's because it's only in Nigeria. Every country across the globe is going through one economic crisis or the other. But we need to fix this right, irrespective of what it is. That is the challenge that we currently find ourselves. Now, the second challenge is we don't even know how we would return into, the economy. We don't know what we need to put into context. We don't. Everybody is currently trying to look for models that would enhance how they would get back into the new economy with the new mindset and with the new skill sets that would require to run such economy, right? Some of us in this part of the world, as we always say, that Africa has a very young population. For Nigeria, I think the mean age is about 18 years old, right? As people begin to age and this young generation begin to come into the mainstream, how will that economy be? Okay. Currently, we might not have answers to that, but these are also the problems we also need to be solving as we go into that space. Then the third thing is, I think, is the biggest of them all, and that is there would be an intensified skilling challenge, because things will continue to change or things will continue to evolve. There'll be the need for people with the right skill set to remain relevant. Okay, there had been so many kinds of words that have been used. People have said you need to be upskilled. Some people say you need to be reskilled. Some people said you need to be right skilled. Whatever nomenclature that is being used, one thing remains constant, is the fact that we need to skill up for us to remain relevant. Okay, you need to skill up to remain relevant. Thank you very much. I see that the slides are looking sharper right now. Thank you for that. So when you look at those three problems, added with the fact that jobs will be lost, added to the fact that there's a huge digital transformation happening, I think it's for us to see how best we can leverage what is currently happening to become better people. It's interesting to understand that the Drive conference speaks to technology and the creatives. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and I said, going forward, irrespective of what industry you find yourself, it is going to be that industry plus technology for you to forge ahead. Now, technology has come to stay as the constant factor in every business. And what that essentially means is that product and services, tools that we would use to be productive on the job would leverage on technology. Okay, so that is it. And I just said I should share, that like a background and overview for us to know where we are coming from, right? I would not go into the deep technology talk, because obviously I know that in the last 2 3 days 2 days there had been, other panelists, there had been speakers who would have given you the core. But what I'm here to do is just to shape in our minds, to shape in our thoughts, and say, hey, these are the things that we need to do, right? And at the end of the day, I think I have something to just share with us and see how best we can leverage some of the potential resources for ourselves, for us to either skill up or right skill or reskill. So thank you for that. The next slide, please. Thank you. Mm. So as you prepare for the future of work, people has called it so many things. People has called it future of work. Some people have called it post-COVID. Some people have called it the fourth industrial revolution. But how do you prepare for the future of work? So from my own perspective, I'm saying new technologies, demographic shifts, and the impact of COVID on the labor market have been radically transforming the way that organizations conduct business and the types of skills their talent needs to help them thrive in the new age of work. Those are the key things that we should pick out there, is that organizations are changing. Organizations are having new product line. I don't want to, overflog the fact that there's in the country there's a new category in how to call it, a new segment, that is the sachetization. Every organization is trying to do something and have a sachet form of it. Okay, it's now different on how you look at it. It's either the dwindling purchasing power of citizenry, or we are trying to say they are building a new segment for new people to access their product and services. That is a different conversation that we can have. But what we are saying in essence is that organizations are changing the way they conduct business. And of course, as this is happening, there'll be skill sets requirements, right? And of course, there is going to be a lot of transformation as all these things happen. Nearly 50% of companies expected that by 2020, automation will lead to some reduction in their full-time workforce, while more than half of all these employers would require significant reskilling or upskilling. And this has come to stay. Now, one thing that I know so well in alignment with what the modern day workplace would require, right? And that is why there is that conversation that yes, you might be the experience, and because it works hand in hand. I would not advise any organization, if you have an experienced hand, you take him out of a job because he cannot do the basic Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, right? He needs to upskill, or he needs to, get the right skill set that will make him more efficient. Now, this is what is going to be happening more often than not. Expectations from organization is that even the older employees within the organization, they need to upskill themselves so that they have that right skill for them to, play in the league as we move into the fourth industrial revolution. The following slide further complements this argument that I've already started here. Please, if you could just change that to the next slide quickly. Quick says that Existing research and insight indicates that the future of work is facing a complex disruption at the hand of three interconnected factors. And the one key thing is technology, right? The other thing is the global socioeconomic polarization. Too much grammar there. What that second statement means is that when jobs meant for a middle class or a particular class of citizens or a particular class of skilled labor, when a particular job or particular job is required for that particular skill set, and that is already being taken out due to how do I call it, automation, then there is a big problem. And because there's now a shift in workers expectations, what do you expect me from a job? Is it still I need to grow my career, or it's all about what you can do? There is that conversation that do I need to bag more degrees, or it's all about my ability to solve problems. So there are new expectations, and this is what the disruption is causing. Gone are those days that and again, I'm going to use a typical example. Because I work with Microsoft, we have an engineering team based out of the country. Now, it's interesting to note that a good number of the engineers that had been hired to that engineering facility, this wouldn't shock you, but it's just, saying how people are being hired now. Most of them don't even have a university degree, right? Because it is conforming with what the disruption has caused. And that is, what can you do? What problem can you solve? We've gone beyond the days of, I have a degree, I have this, I have that. Fantastic, you can have it, but what problems can you solve? And what skill set do you have to ensure that once you join a team, that you'll be productive on the go? And that is what we should be asking ourselves. That is what we should be speaking to ourselves about. That is what the kind of conversations we should be talking to one another, or personally taking that your personal development to the next level, because no organization will develop you, trust me. You need to take the bull by the horn. In school now, probably the schools not yet exist, agile on the go, just to ensure that at every given point in time you are relevant. Next slide, please. What will it take to strive? What will it take us to strive and excel? There is so much text here, but point out here. The first thing is that you have to be distinct. People, organization, individual, and the guy that does everything, that does it the normal way. People are looking for people who can change the dynamics, people who will be distinct in their approach, who would always want to ask those questions, who would always want to have a better knowledge of the norm rather than a whole lot of assumptions. Now, so people need to be distinctive in anything, and this also cuts across the fact that even if you are looking for a job, or if you are starting a business, what is your how do I say it? What problem are you trying to solve? Okay, if you are trying to, within problems there is also problems. Now you can only be distinct if you are solving a unique problem that you and I see every day. At times it's interesting when you get visitors from outside the country, and the first thing that they tell you is that I get into the city of Lagos, or I get into the city of Abuja, and the first thing that I do, you always hear, is that I see a lot of opportunities. And I always ask, why do you say you see a lot of opportunities, even though you are barely 1 hour, 2 hours in the country? Is that where there is a challenge, or where there people always see problems, or where there is problems per time, there is always a huge potential of opportunity there. And that is why Nigeria, or this part of the world in Africa, has become, the beautiful bride for the Western countries for their investment or to do business here, because there is a huge opportunity for them. It is just for us as individuals to identify those problems and have unique solutions which we can define as our product and services to conquer such. Okay, so for you to be to strive and excel in these times of disruption, you need to be distinct. You need to be different from what, or to be accountable part time. People only trust people who they are accountable for. Or definitely look out for individuals or talents and or within your self talent standpoint. Now it is who can get the job done faster, with precision, with agility. You can deliver, or how fast your return or your rate of response to a particular task or a particular request, what this disruption has caused. And because technology is an enabler, can you deliver on some of these things? Improvement model that we need to continue to use to ensure that we get the best out of that particular product. And strive. I would always encourage you, because we would be in a multi diverse how do I call it, environment or community. Things are the individual that that would have the edge. Again, learn more, read more, get to know more, be inquisitive about something. When somebody tells you, oh, artificial intelligence, please try to get things like deep fakes, understand what is deep fakes, how does it work, in this age of disruption. For you to strive and excel, you have to be distinct, you have to be accountable, you have to put a lot of speed into your deliverables, and of course you need lifelong learning. Learn. Next slide, please. Now, and this is not to make us scared, but it's just to paint a picture for all of us. When I use they are coming for us, these are things that will disrupt anything that we are currently doing. And this would create more loss of jobs, or it will create the end of disrupting what we already know before. Now, the first thing employed within, to budgeting, to everything. All you need is a fantastic or a young individual writes these different codes, and boom, you buy it. Right now, think about it. The 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 people who were doing these things initially, how that software alone has disrupted what they are, they used to, what they felt was their bread and butter. Okay, and this is more like a wake-up call for us. Someone said, anything that you continue to, how did the person say it? He said, anything that is repetitive has a high tendency of being obsolete in the next 6 to 9 months. So look at where you are. What you are currently doing, does it have a repetitive format, or is the mode repetitive? Are the questions that we need to ask ourselves. The white collar robots, that is your cash machines, your light out housing, the people less store. Everybody's in e-commerce now. Those of us that used to be shop attendants and all, those things would would not exist. And if you currently find yourself as one in this kind of find yourself in this kind of roles, it's high time you start thinking and saying, how do you become more relevant, or how do you sustain yourself, and also being within that space of part of the economy of this country. So think about this deep. There's a whole lot of globalization. There's abundance of talent worldwide, and it's just a click away. So gone are those days that you say, oh, I'm not in Lagos, and because there's a job in Lagos, and probably you're based somewhere in Abuja, then you now say, oh, because you are not in Lagos, you're in Abuja, you wouldn't be able to get a job. Right now, getting talents, and this is even making it look so crazy right now. Getting talent is just like a click away. If I'm looking for a particular resource, I don't need to even think Nigeria in the first place. If I can get that resource, is the person is in India, or the person is in the UK, so far the person is ready to accept whatever wage that comes along a particular role, he gets the job. And right, these are the people coming for us, because because we are now everybody's now in the global, everybody's a global citizen thanks to the internet. So the competition for talent is on the rise, and for you to be part of on the rise of talent, you need to have the right skill sets. So please, globalization is there. uh I don't need to get resources in Nigeria because I want to do something in Nigeria. Same likewise, because other countries in the US, in the UK, Sweden, Australia, they look towards Nigeria for some of this remote and online work. And the only reason why you can get those opportunities is if you have what they want. So because of globalization, some of us will become irrelevant soon, very soon. So please, this is a wake-up call for us. Let's look at it and let's take it more seriously, so that we'll have better stories to tell people and also remain relevant during that time. The fourth thing is outsourcing. Because of this disruption that is happening, most organizations or individuals will let go of their full-time staffs, right? And look at outsourcing as the best way out. Now, some of us would have not been, maybe some of us have been working from home, and someone who says, why do I need to, you know, give that person that whole benefits that he gets and all that? Why don't I outsource the role? By the way, I don't need to see the person physically. All that I'm interested in is this is the task for the person to do, and boom, the person gets the job done, right? So there'll be huge focus on outsourcing. People say it's faster. People say it is cheaper. But for me, I see it as it drives innovation. Okay, and when you start looking at things like outsourcing, start also considering things like freelancing. Once you have a skill set that some from 8 to 5, he doesn't mind for multiple of typical example. Yemi gives his 8 to 5 to Microsoft every day. It will get to a time that Microsoft will be 2 hours of that 8 hours. It is for us to know that this is what is going to happen. There's always going to be that conversation that people will be early adopters and some people will be laggards, right? The early adopters are the ones that would always cash out, right? But once you are informed, you are better prepared for it. Now, I'm so sure this is not the first time you're hearing things like this. I'm only emphasizing it. Even the fact that I work within that tech space, things like what I'm just saying is already happening. And it's for us to act and take action. Now, the internet is a key is a key tool that I said it's bye-bye to the brick and mortar. Nowadays, nobody's talking about banking is needed. But banking is needed. Nobody's even looking at the banks. In fact, one of the organizations that I was talking about that has given you contracts to its employees, that they can remain, they can work remotely, is a Nigerian bank, Sterling Bank. So nobody's interested in the infrastructures now. We all know of the fintechs. Nowadays, you don't even need to walk into any banking hall anymore. In fact, you just need to sign up, do stuff online, and you even get maybe your Visa card, or you also get which other cards that your Visa card and your Mastercard. You don't need to sign any forms. So these are the things that are happening. Um, People need travel. People need to travel. You don't even need a travel agency, right? There are several bots that would help you get the best deals online. Okay, retail is needed. Nobody who needs to get into the malls during the lockdown. I know how many of us would have ordered things online. You didn't need to see it before you bought it, but at the end of the day, you paid for it and you got delivered. Okay, same thing for Uber, same thing for Airbnb, same thing for NAP, same thing for Nutmeg. So these are the disruptions, and these are, disruptive competitions that are happening. And it is for us to start thinking, and it's for us to start looking at things like that. What are those things that traditionally, this is how we used to do it? Should, in case this thing is being disrupted, how would we fare in it? And it is just, food for thought for us to think about it as I start to round up. It's for us to start looking at it and saying, hey, how do I put this into the my work life? How do I put this? How do I adjust it into this? Finally, artificial intelligence has become the hugest monster. um, AI has taken out so many customer service roles, even though we know that customer service is a very key role during this time, because of the emotional and the empathy part of it. That is on one side. Um, AI has caused even, the deep fakes conversation of people spreading fake news with using people's images and all that. It's another thing. So AI would disrupt a lot of things. There is the chat bots whereby you can make a on-demand thing from a particular website and all. So these are the different set of things that are coming to take your jobs, or to come to take your skill set. I hear of robots that can help you clean, sweep your room or sweep your house. Same thing for robots that can help you stack your store if you have a mall and all that. So these are the technologies, these are the guys that are coming, coming for us, coming for our jobs. So it's just for us to be very open-minded. It's for us to be prepared for it, and it's for us to, upskill ourselves to the next level of where we want to be. The next slide, please. So what can you do? And I think I've said it, but it's just re-emphasizing it. Commit to developing new skills and competencies daily. You will never go wrong. There is this adage that says, know something about everything and everything about something. You will never go wrong, right? I currently do communication. I'm a statistician. I do some data and analytics work. I also do some research work. I'm also in that development space whereby I also measure impact. If it gets to a conversation around that, I can do it. I listen to Nigerian music. I play chess. I do other things. It only makes you a better person. That you have or you get, it is for you to rise above that storm. Okay, you need to stand out. And if that you are doing it as an individual or for your organization, these are the things that you need to do to be distinct from competitions right now. Embrace speed, fantastic talents, ideas, distinction, and your leadership attributes needs to come to the fore in times like this, right? And cultivate and enrich your brand. Just always do something innovative. Stand out among the tutorial of options. You just be the best in whatever you do and capitalize on the untapped potential of your talents within your organization and within yourself. Inspire extraordinary performance, and that is what I think you can do the list is not exhaustive. What I've just shared with you is some of the things that put into consideration my experience and my engagement with folks within the tech space. These are some of the things that you can do, you can put together, and can, be very, very relevant as this disruption continues to happen. The next slide. Thank you. Okay, in all that we have said, one key thing remains consistent. And what is that consistent, right? There are 10 courses or 10 in-demand roles. There are 10. It is not necessarily digital skills. This LinkedIn had in the last 3-4 years, and they said, hey, what does organizations, how do they employ talent? In what roles are they looking for people with a particular skill set to fill, right? We also looked at, in the next 3-4 years, will this same skill set be required, or will it grow over time? Do they pay a considerable wage? And the answer to is yes. For you to have the same skill set, do you need to go? And the answer to this is yes. So if I were you, if you want to remain relevant, there is a link right there. Click on it. The content you have there is free. It is currently on LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning, you all know that if you want to access content on LinkedIn Learning, there is a paywall. But this is Microsoft's contribution during this time for people to upskill themselves. Once you click that link, all the content across this 10 in-demand role, be it data analyst, network administrator, software developer, which are more core IT courses, it is free for you to consume the content. While in the non-technical skills, the customer service, digital marketing, financial analyst, graphic design, IT support, project management, and sales development. These are 7. They are also free content for people to get access to. Once you finish it, you all get your certificate of completion from LinkedIn. And with that, I want to say thank you. And if there's any question, I would like to take it, but or the guidance from the moderator. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for looking so much for the this was a very insightful session. I had some we hoping to I'm just interested. I'm just going for the purpose of your first purpose of your spend about having use combination of skill set that the fact that come in life from there in a life did not stand. You also spoke about the knowledge of the new age. If you want to try the new age. Okay, so we have here and questions to get to it. The first question says this is about cheap labor. This is about cheap labor. I am well skilled. I am well skilled in my skills. In its skills. But I have the information organizations that understand myself. So I'm always caught up. I'm always caught up on my services for myself. What do you advise I do?
So to be very honest, it was very difficult for me to hear the question. If it's something that can be typed, if it can be typed, I will, I can't seem to hear you very well. It is kind of cracking. But if there is an alternative way, if it's through the chat, you can
type in it. You get this. You get this. And this is about cheap labor. I am well skilled. Up in my skills, but I have the information of organization to understand my value. So I am always caught up with being on the page for myself. What do you advise I do? Did you get that? Did you get that?
So I have seen the question. This is about cheap labor. I am well skilled. I keep upping my skills, but I have bare information of organization that understand my values. So I am always caught up with being underpaid for my services. What do you advise I do, sir? Very interesting question. Again, depends on what your particular skill set is. I am totally at this point also interested in the skill set. The truth of the matter is, we all know the situation or the condition that we find, within organization and during understanding what they pay. Uh, During this season, I took time out to get a whole lot of feedback from friends, folks that experienced employers, right? But anything at all, it depends on where you are upping your game in or in what particular skill set. And I will be a little bit biased here. If you are going to acquire any skill set that I can, as if you can start something on data analysis or what you call data analyst, I'm not even saying do software developer or or IT administrator, because the few 4, 5 years, 6 years ago, there was this big conversation around big data. What is big data? Big data definitely means humongous information. Organizations are looking for people who would help them distill that information. And if, for example, you are already an analyst, and hope I've been able to.
Can you reinforce what are some of the soft skills you would need in the future of work?
Yes, I know the okay for soft skill communication. What people call critical thinking. You have to be a team player because as we look at the future of work, and at the same time, when people would be employed to work in teams, right? And it's your ability to be a team player that would make you excel on any job or any task you are given. So you need to communicate well. You need to have critical thinking skills. That is the ability to think beyond the norm. You need to be a team player because most of the jobs and opportunities that would come, you need to work in teams. So you need to be a team player. There's also that conversation around design thinking. You also need to have that mindset of a design thinker. And then the fifth that I'm going to say is please know something about spreadsheets, how you manipulate data, because that will become the norm. Everybody at some point in time should be able to see numbers and be able to interpret at least from a basic level. So in context, know your maths very well, know your English very well, because you need to have a good understanding of data. Your English, you need to communicate well, right? Also know how to use technology tools. It's going to be soft skills. Gone are those days that you would say you need to be proficient in Microsoft Office tools. Yes. Now you need to know beyond your Word, Excel. You should know how to, organize a Zoom meeting. You should know how to use online services where file sharing, collaboration, and all these things are done online. These are the things that you need to have as soft skills. You don't need, in all that I have said, you don't even need a degree. These are things that people naturally feel that you should have so that you can be an all-round productive person, and as you work with other people within an organization. Thank you so much.
For that, I think there's a lot of emphasis on technical skills, and you did just justice to that. Soft skills are also important as well. We have one more last question, and it's from Sandra Adege, and she's asking, you mentioned something. You said the best hand you need to upskill using Excel, using Excel, PowerPoint, Microsoft packages. But I do not manage what training can I take? For this? It is a practical, practical rather than theoretical.
Okay, so your question here is, how do you manage pressure?
Now, so you can see.
Yeah, I can see the question. The question is displayed on the screen here. And I think what Sandra is basically asking is, how do you manage pressure at the place of work, right? To be very honest, I don't know, I've not read, I've not seen how to manage, pressure at work. What it also tells you that the work landscape is changing. Employers are under pressure, just like as marketing spends are being reduced, people are expected to still deliver, even surpass what, when they have a large marketing budget. But what I would just basically do or tell you is, before the pressure shows up, you already have a full understanding of the working styles of who well and where you are most productive and efficient. And I must tell you, everybody has his own low side to this. There are times that you are unnecessarily under pressure, and it leads to the fact that okay, somebody says he wants to see my face. Hey, it's my face. There are times that you are definitely under pressure, and it leads to you making mistakes, right? But it's for you to identify what is the best time for you to work. There is there are shorter deadlines now, but for me it is you need to understand yourself. You need to understand your own capacity. How well can you deliver on this? Knowing Excel is one thing, but when the work demands you the extra, are you readily available to give that extra? And I think it's that extra that is coming out of your comfort zone to give your extra. Never you fail to ask questions. Never you fail to ask questions. The mistake most of us usually have is that we assume so much. Ask the question. Ask the why 5 times. Even if the person will get pissed off, the more you ask the why, the better you have a better understanding of what is demanded of you. So speak up, Sorosoke, as it has always been said. Speak up, ask those questions, right? Ask those, right? The question might sound stupid, but ask those questions, because it's the question that you ask that will get you closer to the answer that you require. Okay, understand yourself more. Understand when is the best time for you to work. Okay, most of us just want to work because there is an 8 to 5 to fill. Trust me, if you there are days that you might switch off, you might not want to, that wouldn't be your best days of work. So understand when you give your best. Okay, that is another thing that you need to look out for, and just be happy. Look for things that will make you happy. There are times that you might want to do something, it might be a bit confusing. Take a walk. Take a walk. Go drink a bottle of Coke. If you want to drink a bottle of stout, drink a bottle of stout. If you want to drink a bottle of water, a bottle of red wine, just take a walk and you come back, you feel refreshed, then you can address what you want to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Just having a pleasure to have a very in-depth section and very interesting and very fun to learn. I have a son who was preparing for preparing for the working zone. So it's been lovely having you. Well, I'm not being here, but I got the practice break at the Drive Conference 2020. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me at the Drive Conference, looking towards Drive Conference 3.0. Thank you, everyone. And I will drop my contact here, and we'll take it forward, be it on my email address or be it on my phone. Thank you so much, moderator, and thanks to the organizers.
Okay, people, you've heard it. People, you've heard it. It's been a wonderful experience, and it's beautiful thing is, but the beautiful thing is, right, but continue to drive consequence, right? Well, let's move on now to our next speaker. My next speaker is Olalekan, and he will be speaking on machine intelligence in the rise of machine intelligence and leveraging it. Mr. Olalekan here with us. Hello, Mr.
Yes, I am.
Hello, Mr. Alexander, over here in Nigeria.
Yes, I'm not in Nigeria. I'm Nigerian. So
I hope you can hear me well. You can hear me well.
Yeah, there's a bit of I don't know. Maybe there's an interesting noise with your voice. So
okay, all right. So I'm just going to give a brief introduction of the session to you.
All right then.
Alexia is an engineer with a strong technical background and obsession with solving customer problems. He has a proven record of leading success of machine learning through machine learning projects, science engineer, product manager, using Amazon Sage and AI-enabled platform in the House 24, which reduced productionizing and uplift at 7 weeks to 3 weeks. Currently, the data platform at HRS and TNG are working to design that platform AWS on AWS that has driven scaled with the right architecture, right technologies. He has given several companies for Australia and including machine learning in AWS on AWS, including serverless recommendation, recognition, to data and AI ready company. For his machine learning, the right about automated machine learning, Amazon SageMaker, and Amazon Step. He's also on promoting deployment of automated machine learning on AWS, what it coined the word CD for auto continuous delivery and auto ML. Okay, without much further ado, over to you.
All right. Thank you, moderator. So good afternoon, everyone. Like that's already been introduced, Olalekan Elishin, Nigerian, but currently out of the country. You can start if you have questions as I walk through the presentation. You can start putting them in the Q&A section or in the live chat so that we can have the questions as quickly as possible. So today I'm going to be talking about the rise of intelligent machines. This is just a prima, like an intro or 101 course. You can think about it and how to ride on this rise or how to ride the rise of these intelligent machines. There's usually when I give presentations like this, I like to joke about, tell people just to bring out their laptops that this is going to be a technical session, but it's not going to be a technical session. Although you see, or you must have seen from my profile, heard from my profile that I'm quite an engineer, but I'll be coming from the non-technical perspective. So let's get right into it. The agenda is quite simple. It's a 5-point agenda, like we always talk about in Nigeria, the 7-point agenda, the 20-point agenda, and things like that. So this is the 5-point agenda. Just going to introduce myself once again as a person, not in terms of paper and how it's documented. I'm just going to do a brief introduction to intelligent machines, what the trend is saying, how to ride the trend, have a Q&A and discussions afterwards. So I think the previous speaker has done spoke about what's called artificial intelligence and the way industry is going and things like that. I'm just going to maybe layer a bit on that. So let's get right into it. This is what I look like on a daily basis. Here's my you can think about with data with regards to my technical recognition in the industry. I'm an AWS machine learning hero. Personally, I'm not so much into the technical details, but more into solving customer problems. And then finally, I change it in different places. So depending on who I'm talking to, I usually just put a finally and I add an ellipsis to it, which means that I'm a Manchester United fan. I love football. And yeah, that's part of it. So let's start by looking at what intelligent machines actually mean. So in a nutshell, what it means is that computers or programs or software that can sufficiently exhibit human intelligence. This was written by Ray Kurzweil some time back, but it's just computers that can exhibit human level intelligence. And if you look at that, that sounds like, oh, what is this person talking about? What does human intelligence mean? It means that machines that can see, that can hear, that can speak or translate text to speech, and that can do other things that human intelligence entails. And then you can think of things around what are those things that are doing that already. Example are chatbots, already mentioned by the previous speaker. So a chatbot can respond to human conversation. So that's some level of human intelligence that is happening in there. You can say, I think there was a day I was playing with the UBA bank, United Bank, yeah, UBA chatbot, and I was asking it questions. I think the name was Lex. So you can see that chatbots can respond to conversations, have a conversation with a normal human being, depending on how intelligent it is. And technologies that power this, it's just machine learning underneath the hood. And then if you think of neural machine translators, so you can think of a human translator. Way back in time, I'm not sure if people remember this, I think during the Abacha regime in Nigeria, there was this person, BC Olatilo, who was like a translator on our mobile phone or on the web, where we can go and translate from one language to another. So we don't necessarily, all of us don't necessarily need to pay thousands to this translator person to translate, but we can use those kind of services. Text to speech, these are things that convert text into speech, read text, and then convert it to speech. So you can already see that a couple of these things point towards demonstrating human intelligence. If I'm reading something, I can read it out, which is what I'm doing in my slides already. I read it and I read it with my eyes and then speak out with my lips. So that's text to speech already. That's some level of human intelligence. And if you think about recommendation engines, which a lot of people, if they are data scientists or machine learning professionals in here, they'll probably be saying things like, oh, recommendation engines. Example is what Amazon has. If you're shopping on Amazon, things like people who bought this also bought this. I think Google also does something like that. People who search for this also search for this. That's another way to look at human intelligence. Robots and robotics. So you can think of, I think the last speaker mentioned robots arranging shelves and things like that. Think of things like that. So that's already some understanding of how the shelf is arranged and how to place items in there. That's human intelligence. That's some level of human intelligence. What's also coming up, and it's also becoming prominent, is computer vision, where a computer is enabled with capabilities to see and to understand visual items. So if a computer can recognize it can do facial recognition and see that this is Olale Kweleshi and it's different from another person or it's different from another person. So those are pointers towards human level intelligence when it comes to visual analytics. And that's also playing out in the self-driving cars where Google, Tesla, and other guys are playing in there. I think I would also like to touch on robotic process automation, where this is so if you look at a business process, let's assume you're filing an insurance claim and that claim has to be processed by an insurance agent. All those things are business processes, and those things can be automated. So those are level that you don't require human input in the middle or a middleman. So those are things that point towards human intelligence. There are lots more, but I will not dwell so much on this, but these are pointers towards intelligent machines. And then let's go to my next slide. So while I was preparing for this, I decided to check Google Trends and see how are we becoming aware in Nigeria about artificial intelligence and intelligent machines and things like that. And you can see it's quite stable. It's not so. There was a spike maybe around, let's say, the Ember months in 2017, but after that time it went down. Maybe that was the time where lots of companies in Nigeria were saying, oh, we're starting to do big data and things like that. And this was around the time where I think maybe Konga also did a couple of downsizing, and a couple of people were saying about things about big data. GTB also released statements around this time, and I think Diamond Bank as well. But you can see that the trend in Nigeria is not peaked at the moment. However, if you look at the world and on a worldwide scale, it's peaking even when we look at it from the past 5 years, and this compares the last 5 years. if you look at the world, there's a sudden rise in people looking at artificial intelligence and machine learning. That means there's a trend that we need to ride upon and make us more productive, because what the pandemic has taught us so far is that we've been hearing that the world is a global village. The world is a global village. And I remember one of the lines from the previous speaker slide that says, global, we want to compete on a global stage, on a worldwide stage, then we need to ride on this trend and not just be waiting behind the scenes and saying we are doing whatever we're doing. We need to rethink and then start riding the trend. So that's a brief introduction about the trend. The rise of intelligence machines is quite bigger than this, and I looked at the time, it's quite short, so I will be very brief. That's why we had to go through the trend itself, the examples and the trend itself. And my focus is how the community here that I'm speaking with, and even take this the step further and start riding that trend. I would say start now. And the starting point is data. It's quite simple. It's that straightforward. And you don't need to be a data scientist. You don't need to be a data analyst to start making use of data. You just need to think in terms of data. Just think abstractly about data, and I will explain what data is after the next slide. So on this slide, I decided to put this here, and this was this is not to offend any data scientists or any machine learning professional in the audience, but it's just to point out that when we're talking about data science is not about creating machine learning models. That's why I put it in red, and talking statistics that no one understands. Data science is about exploring variables, like exploring data points that are better predictors of business performance. So if you're a statistician and you're looking in statistics are no prove business performance. Business owners, what employers of labor, what you as a business person is looking out for is to improve your business performance over time. And if studies in secondary school, junior secondary school computer studies, what we call data is unprocessed information. And we can find unprocessed information in different places. You can find it in legacy documents. The legacy documents in this place can be newspapers, as an example. It can be it can be newspapers, it can be documents that our notes or court proceedings and things like that. It can do anything that is a document and it's legacy, it's old, it's not referred to anymore, it's data. Social media in itself is data. People talk about cloud these days. It's just infrastructure in the cloud that you can get on demand. Think about websites on their own. Websites are also sources of data, pages of websites that we go through, Punch newspaper, any type of the Nigerian Stock Exchange website. It's a source of data on itself. So data is not just things that we can say it's just available on our computer, or maybe gigabytes and that we can use to browse. That's what Internet of Things, where there are sensors and things like that, databases that exist in our applications. If we have software engineers here, social network profiles. So when I started out doing this machine learning or this thing, in my experience, I started with scraping or using tweets to analyze tweets and analyze trends in tweets on Twitter. So Twitter is also a great source of data. Facebook. Social influencers, there's a lot of social influencer marketing in Nigeria currently, and people are not paying attention to data in that space. And data in this case, example is Instagram, where videos, pictures, those are data points. They're not just numbers. Data points are not just numbers alone, but they are technology as it is currently is enabling us to process videos, audio, even pictures, to understand, to glean actionable insights from them. So another part, which is activity rated data. This points to, let me think about it so I can explain. This points to some of us that run internet businesses and that have websites. This is about how people interact, the user activity that happen on our online storefronts. So people click on a particular product, they view a particular product, they read a particular article. These are data points that we can use eventually. And then, so once we understand data and what data is, we need to follow it with analytics. And this is much more than Google Analytics, because some of us also, a lot of times when I talk to, I think I have a sister that owns a business in Nigeria. When I talk to her, she's always talking about Google Analytics, but much more, it's beyond Google Analytics. Google Analytics will give you it's an introduction to analytics, but there's more to analytics in itself, where you need to understand what people are, for people that run web businesses, how people are doing, how people are interacting with your storefront online. Even when you run a physical store, how are people coming into your store and things like that. There are capabilities with technology at this point in time in the world where you can know how people the footfall, how people are passing by your store and how people are coming into your store, and how to understand that. And when it comes to analytics, it's beyond page views. And I would give you a brief pointers to what I mean by analytics. To start with, by understanding analytics, is to define outcomes based on interaction with your business interface or interfaces. And what that means is that if you have an online store, define what an outcome would be. An outcome is what that result that would have a positive or negative impact on your business. So people passing by and coming in and coming out of your store, does it have a positive impact on your business? Does page views have if you're running an e-commerce store, do page views have positive impact on your business? No, I think it's more like people adding to carts and completing transactions. Measures of success based on each outcome that you define. So what people call this in business terms is, they call it metrics. Measure, how would you measure if an outcome is successful? So if you're looking at a particular outcome, let's say, let me use an internet business or a brick and mortar store as an example. So you have a store at let's say Alaba, and you're selling CDs. How would you measure success? So is it the number of CDs that you sell per day, or the number of music mixes that people buy from you, and things like that? Define how you want to measure success, and stay away from vanity metrics. Vanity measures. So vanity metrics are things like page views, number of clicks, number of things like that. If they don't have positive impact, or are not indicators, or let me use the word indicators of success for your business, stay away from them, because they can be quite confusing and make it look as if, oh, we have 70,000 page views. But if you're in an e-commerce store, you have 70,000 page views, and only 1% of those 70,000 is buying something. There's something wrong. So it's page view is not a good measure of the success of an e-commerce store. A good measure might be number of items added to carts, the cart size, and things like that. And adopt the scientific method of improving business metrics. So I would not go into the details of scientific method, but I would just explain. It's the same way we think about experiments. We observe something. I observe that my business is not performing. My customers are not. They're not converting. They're not buying from me. What do I do? Maybe I change the way I arrange my shelf and measure that, and measure how that performs, how that customers react to how I change the way I arrange the shelf. It may be like, say, in let's say 5 weeks or 4 weeks. That's just build, measure, learn. There's just a way of learning by adjusting things and formulating hypotheses. And then once you adopt the scientific method of improving business metrics or your business processes, collect and store relevant data to support your business metrics. So if you're looking at brick and mortar store as an example, you have a store, let's say, I have a store, let me put it in Yaba, let's say in Yaba. I want to collect relevant information about how people are coming into my store, the number of people that come into my store, and the number of people that actually, let's say, buy from me. So you can think of, maybe you have a POS that people buy from, and then you can set up tooling or IoT services that can know when people come through the door. That way, you can easily measure the number of people that come in and the number of people that actually make transactions, and then you start figuring out things and in that direction. And at this point in time in the world, it's quite cheap to get all those things available. So you can buy Bluetooth sensors. Example, to collect relevant data about business metrics for a brick and mortar store, you can buy Bluetooth sensors from AliExpress for less than $1 or 50 cents. Buy a Bluetooth sensor that senses if a phone passes by your store, and install it and start collecting relevant data. If you're running an online store or an e-commerce website, start collecting user clicks, not just page views, but what people click upon, the products that people click upon, user activity on your platform. Start collecting all those data and start storing them somewhere. So in general, what can I do now? I would say, if anybody's asking that question, I've seen all the things that analytics talks about. What can I do at this moment in time that puts me in the right direction? So start simple and small. what I've seen, the reason why I put this as the first point is that when I interact with a couple of people across different places, what they talk about is, I need to get into machine learning. I need to start putting this crazy machine learning things and putting AI and leveraging. All those words can actually turn people off. What you need is just start small. Like I mentioned, look for a particular business outcome. You don't need 70 business outcomes. All you need is, I think all you need is 4 to actually drive business success. But you don't even have to start with a 4, just start with 1. Start with that. Leverage available cloud services. So if you're thinking of, oh, it's going to cost me 50 billion or 10,000 or 50,000 to get on to start using all these things, a lot of cloud services, AWS, Amazon Web Services, Google, Microsoft's cloud, which is Azure, already provide capabilities that enable you to get started and scale based on the number of usage. So you don't have to pay anything upfront. And then focus on business outcomes and not buzzwords. So don't focus on, oh, I'm using AI, we are going to start using AI. Focus on what defines your business, what is unique about your business that you want to improve, not the buzzwords and that people talk about. You know the buzzwords, I don't have to repeat them. But what I want to stress is that focus on business outcomes. And this is, I've repeated this about 3 times now because it's really important. Finally, look for small wins achievable in less than 4 weeks. You don't have to wait and say we need 4 years to build our analytics, whatever. You're not enterprise level yet. You're not enterprise level yet. Look for small wins. If it takes you collecting the data manually and storing it inside Google Sheets, that's a starting point. Look for small wins, and then iterate over those small wins. Look for small wins. Don't look for the grand, big things. Don't look for the buzzwords and the big. Look for small wins that you can achieve in 4 weeks and you can learn from as quickly as possible. I think so far I've spoken this quite short presentation. If you want to, we can talk about it afterwards. And I want to have a lot of time for question and answer. The books I would recommend, I would say that if you can, lay your hand on Competing on Analytics, The New Science of Winning. This is an excellent book. I've been cutting the book for a while. I've read about a lot of reviews about it, but I would recommend it. Yeah. The second one is Driving Business Strategies with Data Science, Big Data MBA. This is a really good book. I just recommended it for someone a couple of weeks ago. I've read it myself, and most of the things I'm talking about here right now is based on what I read from this book. And Hacking Growth. This is if you're looking at scaling your business with analytics and how to use the scientific method to grow your business. This is a really good book. I have it, I've read it, and I would recommend it to anyone. I think on that note, I want to say thank you. This is my contact. You can follow me on Twitter. This is my email address. I'm on LinkedIn as well. And I write about a couple of things on Medium if you want to read about the things that I write. Thank you. And it's time for question and answer.
Thank you, Olalekan, for that insightful presentation. Very interesting. We're going to go right into the question and answer segment. And I have a question here from Abiodun. Abiodun is asking, as a young tech professional, they want